Happy Wednesday, everybody. Thank you for being here on The Big Thing. We're excited. We're excited to talk about all of these things. And listen, a lot of times this started out at Sith Council, but one of the reasons we kind of turned it into a Big Thing episode in general was because there wasn't a lot of Star Wars news really coming out. But we said when there is TV shows and movies, we're going to cover those. But if there's some big stories, we'll talk about that as well. And look, there are some stories here this week. There's some rumors about the Rey movie, who the apprentice is going to be. Is it going to be part of the sequel trilogy? Is it going to be episode 10? All of that. The Acolyte. There's rumors there's going to be a trailer really, really soon. And season 2 is also right around, well, not right around the block, but they announced that it's pretty much going to happen from what rumors are saying. Obi-Wan Kenobi does not look like it's going to get a season 2. If you're listening to the way that Bob Iger was talking, which is another report that we'll probably cover about, they had to scale back on some stuff. Good news, bad news, irrelevant. What do you guys think? Some other things that we'll talk about for sure is Dune. Legendary apparently is very keen on getting Dune3 made. And in other words, no shit. Of course. Who wouldn't want Dune 3 after seeing Dune 2? Madam Web. That movie didn't do well. And Dakota Johnson talked about it and some other things, and a little peek behind the curtain. If you're brand new to the channel, you've never been here before, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 200,000 faster than we got to 100, but we need you guys to hit the button. Be part of the conversation. If you want to be part of the conversation on the UAP Tuesdays, obviously, that's what we do. But we started a brand new channel called Down to Earth with Kristian Harloff, which is a daily news channel for UAP topic. So you can join that. We're just past 12,000 subscribers on that channel. So join us over there. Okay. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere podcasts are found. It's myself, it's Steph, it's Mike. Here we go. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to The Big Thing. It's myself, Mike Kalinowski. Look at that shot. Mike actually looks pretty good today. And
I look good today?
I didn't ask you to talk. And Steph Sabraw is here. And we got all three of us. We had to do a little digital today because people can't drive in Los Angeles. And, Steph needed us to do digital. And that's fine. It's fine. It is sad. But look, yeah, Mike, you actually, I was worried about your shot today because I was like, look at this. This guy's going to have the bad lighting and the TV, bad microphone. That looks good. You look slick. You're showing off your face. Look at you.
All right, there we go.
Look at you.
I'm happy.
I'm very proud of you.
Good job.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
See? And I got to make sure that I take the Vader voice off of Steph. And now it's done. Okay, good.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
we're good. Okay, so we do have Star Wars news, guys, but before we even get into, I guess we start with Star Wars. Mike, I'm going to leave you out of this conversation because I know the answer is no. Did you watch Bad Batch yet, buddy?
Hey, I surprised you.
Did you? You didn't watch nothing.
No, I got you. No.
Oh.
Yeah.
I know. Shit on Mike. Yeah, poor guy.
I don't think her saying "oh" is shitting on Mike. I think it's her just saying "oh." It's too bad.
I did see Madam Web this week, though.
Yeah, that's not what I asked. But that's not what I asked, Steph. Steph, episode 5 so far. Thoughts?
I really liked it.
Okay.
I really liked the character development. I think that Crosshair has always been one of the more interesting of the Bad Batch.
Mm-hmm.
So having him back and kind of getting into his psyche is cool. I thought that I just really enjoyed the story that they're telling about saving all the clones and getting back to wherever the clone site is right now. So I liked it.
Yeah, I like the flaws of Crosshair. That's one of the reasons, because it's kind of hard to sound like this and not sound evil. But he's not. But he's not. And he's coming back to, his brothers. And I love that moment actually between him and Omega where she's just like, I'm older than you are, little brother. And you put that into perspective when you see it. But it builds up the fact that he just doesn't jump in, hey guys, I'm back. And everything's good now. It's like, now they have the issues and they go back to that planet. The one thing there's two things that I did notice in this episode because I liked it as well. But what I did notice is that it's like a Filoni trope. It's like the big monster coming out and they got to run away. They got to try to get the big monster. There's always a big monster that's come. I know it's a Star Wars thing too, but I mean, they did it in Mandalorian season 1, season 2, season 3, Boba Fett. It's like, there's always a big, and 87 times in the Bad Batch, but they're always running away from a big monster, it seems like. And the other thing I wish that they would have done is there's a really emotional moment to show, and Crosshair talks about it in this episode, was that he betrayed the Empire because that's when he kind of turned and realized that they were doing bad things. And he has this emotional moment where he picks up this helmet and he puts up the helmet. He's putting the helmets on the side. And I'm like, that's where you need a little bit of a flashback scene. Don't assume that everybody remembers right away what the hell's going on, because it's a long series. There's a lot of other stuff that we've seen. And I think Filoni sometimes just relies on people going, oh, yeah, they'll remember that. No, we won't. Our attention span is short. And I think we needed a little flashback there to see it. But am I nitpicking here?
No, I think that would have been good, because it has been a long time, and I wanted to touch base on season 2, but I just haven't yet. But I was thinking that I was like, I'd like to see some flashbacks, or maybe I should just do the work. But I also liked when he called out Hunter, because I feel like Hunter, even though he is a great character, he's not perfect either.
Yeah,
so that was a good emotional moment.
It was a great emotional moment. I thought it worked between the two of them, and I think, but what they don't want to do is, let's not have more episodes like this. They needed this. They needed this to build the character, and they built the relationship through like kind of a side adventure, but still relevant to the story. But where they've gotten themselves, to me, in trouble in the past is where they stay in too many of these little side adventures, and they need to go back and focus on the main storyline now, which it seems like they're doing.
I agree. They even said it. I think Wrecker was like, "Why is there always a big monster?" Which is exactly what the audience is thinking.
Always, yeah. And I think they played to that. So, anyway, what do you guys think of Bad Batch? What are you thinking of it so far? Are you enjoying the story? Do you agree with a lot of the critiques, or do you think they're nitpicky? Go ahead and put your comments in there and tell us what you think. Sticking with Star Wars. All right, this Rey movie, they're starting to have more conversations about it. We're starting to talk about it because it's getting more real. This is from Comic Book Movie. Rey-focused movie reportedly casting for 2 Jedi apprentices and a villain. Lucas's Rey-focused new Jedi Order movie is said to be searching for actors to play 2 Jedi apprentices and the film's villain. We also have updates on Ahsoka Season 2 and The Mandalorian and Grogu. Mark Cassidy says it's been all quiet on the Star Wars front since the first season of Ahsoka wrapped up last October, and for a lot longer than that when it comes to a galaxy far, far away on the big screen. Lucasfilm does have several major film and TV projects on the horizon. However, we now have some intriguing updates courtesy of reliable insider Daniel Rickman. Arguably, the most anticipated, depending on how you feel about the sequel trilogy, is the untitled Rey-focused movie, which will see Daisy Ridley reprise her role as Rey Skywalker. According to Rickman, Disney and director Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy are currently casting 3 major roles, 2 Jedi apprentices and an unnamed villain. The movie will reportedly shoot in the UK later this year and is not expected to be the first film in a new trilogy as previously rumored, but a standalone story. Specific plot details are still under wraps, but the movie will be set a whole 15 years after the events of Rise of Skywalker, and Rey will be a powerful Jedi Master running her training academy when we catch up with her. Last year, Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy revealed that work on this movie is further along than we realized. She says, "We've been working on that film for a few years, and all of that feeds into our overall storytelling. So we've just got to a point now where we've got a wonderful writer in Stephen Knight, and we're probably going to see a script in the next month and a half that we've been working on for quite a while. So we're getting close." Of course, this was prior to the Hollywood strikes, which no doubt has at least some impact on the project's development. We recently got confirmation that Ahsoka will return for a second season, and Rickman believes filming is on track for that later this year, most likely Q4. Between October and December, The Mandalorian and Grogu will also commence production soon, and it is rumored to shoot in LA and the UK. "I've loved telling stories set in the rich world that George Lucas created," said Jon Favreau. "The prospect of bringing in The Mandalorian and his apprentice Grogu to the big screen is exciting." All right, so guys, 2 updates here. Mike, let's start with you. What do you think about the Rey casting? What do you think? As far as, do you like the idea? Look, we talked about it for a while, that everybody thought that when the new trilogy was announced, that it was going to be Luke who's going to have his own training academy, and then they pretty much just took the whole storyline that all the Jedi were gone again, and they just repeated everything. This time, there is a Jedi academy, and she's got 2 apprentices, and there's going to be a villain. You like this angle so far, what you're hearing, or what?
Yeah, I think for me, it's a little too early to, say anything. I guess for me, more so what they're going to give us is what I don't want to see, if that makes any sense.
No.
I don't want to see a republic, a new order, a first order, a final order, take back order. I didn't order this order.
Order up food.
I don't want any of those.
Yeah.
They're done. They tried 5 times with stormtroopers. It failed. Give us something new.
Agreed. Steph, what do you think about this? What do you think it could be as far as villains go, as far as the apprentices go? Do you like that she has 2 apprentices? Do you like what you're hearing so far, if this is indeed where it goes down?
Yeah, I think it's a cool opportunity to, what you're saying is expand on what they showed a second of and then didn't do in the sequel trilogy, which was this Jedi Academy. I really like training and lore scenes, and like developing the new Jedi Order, I think could be really cool. Or whatever form the Jedis are going to take with Rey as in a leadership role, I think there's a lot to explore there that none of the movies have really done that much in, minus the original trilogy, where you see a lot of Luke's training and kind of understand the Force. And I just want to see them establish what their new idea of that is. And then, but I'm curious, what do you guys think? Because it's hard when you're not on the creator side and you're just watching it. I don't know what kind of villain I would want to see them face.
I'm with Mike that I don't think I don't want it to be an Imperial, right? I don't mind it being someone who knows the way, that's been studying the Force in general, and seeing what, and trying to pick it up, and trying to be manipulative in a way like Palpatine is, and someone who's in the New Republic trying to essentially manipulate in the way that Palpatine did, but differently, right? Maybe that's what Angela Bassett could do, right? That would be. They probably wouldn't do that. Like this is the other thing that I was going to say, because what I'd like to see them do, because there are these kind of, that I just saw Kung Fu Panda 2, right? Or 4. And it was predictable, right? I'm taking my kids, but I was like, okay, so I guarantee you that he's going to wind up getting this type of apprentice, and then this apprentice is going to do this, and then ultimately this is going to happen. And it's exactly what happened, right? And I was like, okay, and then you can pretty much say, well, this will probably happen because they want to set this up, and they're definitely not going to do that because they don't want to paint this particular person in a bad light, but they're okay doing it here. I would like to see Rey have 2 apprentices, a man and a woman, for the apprentices, and I would like to see the girl apprentice go bad. What I think will happen is that the boy apprentice will go bad. And I'd like to see the girl apprentice go bad. And I like to see that Rey and the guy have to, whether it is, however that's going to happen over the course of 2 movies, 1 movie. And it's okay to have villains. It's okay to have villains in every shape and form, because people are good and bad, and people make good and bad decisions all the time. And I think it'll be less predictable, and I don't think you'd see it coming. But I don't think they would do that. Am I wrong to feel that way?
That would be awesome. But I think they would. I think we got it a little bit with Shin's character in the Ahsoka series. Yeah. And I loved her character, but not nearly developed enough. Don't know why she does what she does, where she came from. Right. And I want to know all of that.
Yeah, they just abandoned that story completely at the end.
Completely. Yeah. But I think that gave me a little bit of an itch to see something similar too, where it would be, especially with Rey, and who she's dealt with in the past. I think it would be nicer to see a little flip on that.
Yeah, because Mike, I do like the idea that there are 2 apprentices. I think better than just one, and I think that it kind of goes away from the traditional, you can only have one Padawan. She's kind of changing up the how it works a little bit. I got no problem with that. I like that idea. What do you think?
It's Rey's new order.
Yeah, right.
It's her thing. What if she wants to have 5 apprentices? Let her.
Right.
The ways of the Jedi in the past have failed, so she's charting a new path.
What do you think as far as the my pitch there with the two apprentices and
I think your pitch stinks.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
No. Yeah, but you're 100% right. The guy's going to go bad.
Right.
It will be a guy and a girl, and the guy's going to go bad.
Yeah, and I hope that they change that. I hope you and I hope we go see that. Yeah, I hope we go and see that movie, and then we're like, they switched it up on us. Look at that. Yeah. They did that, but they won't. And the same way that we all knew that Kylo Ren was going good.
And at the end of these 3 movies, I know they won't be. The guy's going to get redemption. He's going to get redemption.
Yeah, probably.
He'll get redemption.
Well, that was another report, I guess, from Star Wars Newsnet. And Star Wars Newsnet talked about basically that what'd they say? That it's not going to be a new episode 10, by the way. So there also, Miguel Fernandez did a whole thing where Rickman also added that the film is not being set up as the first in a new trilogy, but it could be set up for a sequel. Last week, we shot down rumors of the film being titled Episode 10. For now, the only name the film has been given internally is New Jedi Order. Though keep in mind they could change it and rebrand it. I don't think they should. I think that's a great title. New Jedi Order
I like that.
It's a great title. New Jedi Order. It sets up the stage. Jedi is Star Wars. New Jedi Order. Great title. Perfect. Simple. Yeah. You got it. Doesn't need to be episode 10. I actually think it's much better to say, look, if it's good and it does really well, we'll give it a sequel. We have in her contract, we put it in that if it does well, Daisy Ridley will come back for another one. Great. What do you think, Steph? Should they have done episode 10 for this one?
Yeah.
You do?
I'm not too bothered by it, but I completely agree with the idea that let's not sign trilogies until we see what the first one does at all. Talking about Dune, it's just do what you did with that.
Well, I wish that they did that. I wish that
tell a story.
I know.
Tell a story, and if at the end of it people want more, let's go.
I just want someone to sit everybody down at Lucasfilm and show them back-to-back movies of Godzilla -1 and Dune Part 2.
Yes.
And just say, just do this, guys. Just do this.
Right. And then bring in some of the Vision creators. Right. I really can't say enough how much I love the Vision stories and how much their character development shows in 30-minute episodes. And when we were talking about 2 apprentices, I thought about the twins episode. I think it was in season 1 of Visions. But I love that. You have a good twin and a bad twin.
Yeah.
But they had reason for why the one went bad. Their whole family gets killed or something that makes it other than them just being I'm bad.
Well, I mean, I don't want to spoil anything from Dune. You can look at Dune 2, but there's so much build up and when things happen in Dune Part 2, you're just oh, well, that makes sense. That's been built up throughout the entire epic. So that makes sense why that would happen. And I'd like to see that type of stuff start to happen in Star Wars, but we'll see. All right, before we move on, I want to tell you guys about both BetterHelp and Rocket Money. Here you go. All right, guys, this episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. So, BetterHelp, I've been telling you guys about BetterHelp for a while now. We've had a lot of people that they've been helped out by. So, this is why the big thing is sponsored by BetterHelp, because what's the first thing you need to do? If you had an extra hour in your day, would you go for a run? Would you take a nap? Would you read a book? Would you show up for a friend? Well, the problem is a lot of us spend our lives wishing that we had more time. The question is, time for what? If time was unlimited, how would you use it? The best way to squeeze that special thing into your schedule is to know what's important to you and make it a priority. Therapy can help you find what matters to you so you can do more of it. So I've mentioned Roxy Stryer. She's talked about it many times. She's really benefited from BetterHelp. I've had people inside of my family that have benefited from BetterHelp because talking to someone helps. And if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's online, it's designed to be convenient, it's flexible, and it's suited to your schedule. You fill out a brief questionnaire, you get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime, no additional charge. Learn to make time for what makes you happy with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/bigthing today and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/bigthing. Rocket Money. I've been telling you guys about Rocket Money forever. because there's a lot of times that you forget about these subscriptions and you either pay twice for it, you didn't realize it, you sign up for a thing and you're like, oh, I'll do that first free month, and then it's gone. Your money's gone every month. Did Rocket Money do what you wanted them to do for you when you signed up? Because it did it for me. I had all these subscriptions and I was like, oh, and it lists it out and it says, don't do that. You don't need these. It tells you how much money you have that you've spent in the month. It tells you, it gives you your credit score. It gives everything. I mean, Rocket Money for me is the way to go. It's a personal finance app. And it finds and it cancels your unwanted subscriptions. It monitors your spending and it helps lower your bills, which is the best. So you can grow your savings, because Rocket Money has over 5 million users and it's saved a total of 500 million, saving members up to $740 a year. So don't waste money. Cancel your unwanted subscription and go on over to rocketmoney.com/big-thing. rocketmoney.com/big-thing. All right, thank you to our friends over at BetterHelp and Rocket Money. As I mentioned many times over, and as you know, BetterHelp and Rocket Money, they've been with us for a while, and there's a reason, because you guys have been trying them out. And not only do we try to work with people that we think are really going to benefit the audience, because it helps you, it helps the show. So if you're able to, I always pin the sponsors as our top comment, and I always put it in the description. So go and check it out. Thank you. Okay. Let's move on. We're going to stick with Star Wars for a second because we got some more news. Oh, hey, Mike. I didn't know you were on the show. So we got The Acolyte. That's a show we've been looking forward to. So what's the deal? What's the deal with The Acolyte? It's going, it's not, it's 200 million, it's 50. What's the deal? Finally, Rickman says that The Acolyte Season 2 has been planned, which we have known for a year now. That's what Star Wars Newsnet has been talking about that. Though he adds that a writer's room has been set. Also makes sense. They had an overall arc for the show written ahead of Season 1's production start, and they probably want to strike while the iron is hot. Marketing is about to go underway on that show, and what better way to celebrate the first season being well-received than to say that Season 2 is filming later this year. Back in 2019, they announced that The Mandalorian Season 2 had started filming before Season 1 aired in 2020. The Book of Boba Fett started shooting a couple of weeks after Tamora Morrison made his return on that final scene of Season 2 premiere. The Bad Batch is currently the only Star Wars piece of programming going on at the moment, but The Acolyte should pick up the baton sometime in the summer, reportedly June 5th. Skeleton Crew is going to debut later this year, as is Tales of the Jedi Season 2. All right, that's some major news there, too. I mean, we've talked about the Season 2 side of it, and I know that Mike had a pretty strong opinion on when we talked about it, and I understood where he was coming from, where let's get Season 1 in the can, and let's get a trailer out there before we start doing Season 2. My only pushback, and I think we talked about it, if they really think that this thing's a hit, and they really think that this is like their crown jewel of the new stuff, and they're going to announce a Season 2, and Season 2 they have a story, going back to what Steph just said, if they have this thing mapped out to where they know where they want this to go, so 2 seasons, I'm all for it, but it's just, are they jumping the gun, or do they really believe in it? Mike, you hear that report, what do you think?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, man, because like Andor had a Season 2 before Season 1 aired, right?
Yeah.
But Ahsoka didn't. Remember that?
Yeah.
And you would have think of those 3, the Ahsoka would have been the one that would have been the put the money on to get a Season 2 right away. But
yes and no. The only thing is, going back to what I just said, is that it goes to that they needed to get somewhere in Andor. They needed to get to the events of Rogue One, right?
Yeah.
And I just wish that I would have recorded that, because I'm the only one that remembers it. You two don't remember it. Nobody else remembers it. But Tony Gilroy on stage saying Season 3, and then Andor or himself, Diego Luna, looks like I only signed up for 2 seasons.
I do remember that.
Oh, you do remember that? Okay.
Yeah, I remember, because we were all confused. Like 2, he said 3.
He did say 3, and then from what I believe that that there were other forces at Lucasfilm that were like 2's good for Andor. So whether or not that's how much effect it had, either way, and I don't think, and from talking to Diego Luna when he was in here, it's like filming, it's like being in a film. Like, it's gruel. They shoot for like 6 or 7 months, so maybe he only wants to do 2 seasons. But anyway, you were saying, Mike, go ahead.
I'm just curious, like, man, like Acolyte, we haven't seen anything on it.
Right.
Like, I don't even think they've shown like official release set pictures of anything.
Yeah.
So I'm like, but hey, I mean, I don't know, man, because think about it. And like, they clearly have seen stuff. They, but we haven't seen anything, but they've seen it, so they clearly like it. But I'm curious, like, is it open-ended, like the end of season 1, where it's like, you need a season 2? Did they paint themselves into a corner where you've got to keep going, like Ahsoka did?
Unless they're looking, going, no, with the scripts, and they're like, well, this is a great story. Because let's not forget, Leslie Headland did some great stuff with Russian Doll, right? And set up a really good, serious story. Can she do that in Star Wars? Because if she can, we've been waiting for the Game of Thrones of Star Wars for a bit, right? We've been waiting for that. And you're not going to get it to the level of, you still got to keep it on the Star Warsy side, but you're not going to get to that level of Dune. But you can get close. And with these themes, I didn't like the rumors that they had said it, because from a lot of different times and in press, they were saying how this was going to be a Sith-led story. Right. And then there were rumors that they were pulling back on that they were going to make sure that the Jedi were up top. And that could have been a Disney move, which I think is a bad decision if their story was, no, we need the Sith to be in the lead. And then they were kind of pushed to do it. Who knows? But I don't know. Steph, what do you think about all this?
I think, like, in terms of the announcing
all
season,
of it, yeah, the season 2, the fact that we're going to be getting a trailer soon, that how confident they are with it seems like they're pretty damn confident with this show.
Yeah, I don't blame them. Because sorry, I was talking about Andor. I don't blame the season 2 confidence with Andor, just because there's just so many factors of that show that make it exceptional. But it is interesting with Acolyte. I think if you are that confident with something, then why not? It's interesting to hear even Mike beyond leaning towards that side, just because of all the things their track record has proven. It's not they're not necessarily bad at announcing multiple seasons of shows that didn't do great. You know what I mean? Like Obi-Wan, we didn't get a season 2.
And they never announced that, right?
Boba Fett, they never announced it. Like he said, Ahsoka never announced it. So that's... I have no reason to be like, you shouldn't do that necessarily, other than for everything we've been saying with on the movie side of it, like don't announce a trilogy without seeing like a proof of life in the first. Yeah,
I think but I'm just, you have the reshoots of it, the kind of star power that they have, and as with anything, whether it's movies or TV, the first trailer is going to be crucial. It's going to be crucial, because if you get the Acolyte, first of all, it's called the Acolyte. I don't think, is it called Star Wars the Acolyte? Is there a Star Wars thing in there? Is it just called the Acolyte? I think
just the Acolyte. I'm trying to think of the graphic.
That makes me nervous.
I think it's just Acolyte.
It does make you nervous? I mean, not only because I always think of Bumblebee. Bumblebee should have done so much better, and it would have called Transformers Bumblebee. It would have done so much better. But it's a TV show, and people will start talking about it. And that's also why usually we have these predictions. I'm going to make a prediction for the trailer. Yoda's in that trailer. Yoda will
really?
be. Yeah. What? Yoda will be in the trailer for the Acolyte.
It makes sense that he would be in the show. I guess you would put him in the trailer.
It's only 100 years ago. He's only like 800 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
You put him in there, you get people going, oh, okay, Yoda's in there. Okay, I know somebody.
Jedi Council, right? I mean, I would assume,
of course,
have the Jedi Council in there.
They're at the height of the powers in this show.
Yeah. Okay.
They should. I really think that a lot of people should have Greta Gerwig or whoever cut the Barbie trailer to work on other trailers, because that trailer had everyone talking, and I feel like was a big reason why people got to the movie, whether or not you liked it or not, because you were like, what is this? I'm intrigued enough, but it's not giving away the plot.
I think that they need to give away a little bit more, though, because it's coming out in June. So Barbie had a year when that teaser came out of what the hell is this? It had a good year before the thing even came out. This show's coming out in 2 months. So we're probably getting a trailer within... I wouldn't be surprised if it dropped this week. But the
It's got to.
Yeah, only thing that I would say to go against my prediction of the Yoda thing is if they wind up showing the trailer that they showed at, was it Celebration last year, I think? Whenever they showed that trailer that nobody saw, was exclusive.
So they have some Acolyte footage.
They showed it at, but the question is, and it hasn't dropped, so was that just for the audience?
Oh, gotcha.
Or, because they did reshoots and a whole bunch of other things after that. So is a lot of that almost like that? Remember that Rogue One trailer that they showed at Star Wars Celebration in London that they never aired?
Is it the one that was like heavily with the like military vibe to it?
Well, I mean, it had more Vader in it doing things that he definitely didn't do in the movie,
Gotcha.
and then there was that TIE fighter shot that actually stayed in the trailer. But there's there's other things that were in there that I think that maybe after reshoots, they're like, well, none of this stuff's really in there, so let's just kind of new trailer to really show what this thing's all about. Because I don't even think they were done shooting yet when they showed that trailer. So I think it'll be a different trailer. But if it's not, no, then I'll be wrong. But I just think to get people in there that don't know what this is, and besides the Star Wars fanatics, going, oh, we got a new Star Wars show. So you got to get that new. If you want a hit show, you need a new audience, right?
You do.
Yeah,
you got to get everybody in there.
Yeah, because Bad Batch is for Star Wars fans. We've talked about that. It's not you're not bringing in new fans with Bad Batch, and you're not going to bring it in with what's the one called, the animated one, Tales of the Jedi. Tales of the Jedi. That's also for hardcore Star Wars fans. Mandalorian became a crossover show for the casual fan, and that's what you need. They tried to do it with Obi-Wan, didn't work, and that kind of gets to our next story here. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi Season 2 looks highly unlikely following Disney's latest announcement. Now, while many Star Wars fans were hoping for a second season of Obi-Wan Kenobi, today's announcement from Disney seemingly confirmed it will remain a limited series. This is from Matt is for Real, comic book movie. Earlier today, Disney announced plans to release some of its Disney Plus series on 4K and Blu-ray. Among the series collected for a collector's edition physical release was Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Star Wars prequel spin-off. While news that the 2022's hit series is getting a physical media release should have been met with excitement during Star Wars fans, it was a bit of a double-edged sword as it seemingly shut the door on the potential for a second season. In announcing the collector's edition releases of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Moon Knight, and Andor, Disney referred to these as the complete first season of each series. However, Obi-Wan Kenobi was billed as the complete series. The pretty straightforward phrasing seemingly confirms that Obi-Wan Kenobi will remain a standalone limited series with no hope for a second season. This unfortunate realization comes on the heels of Ewan McGregor recently telling a MegaCon Orlando audience that he's still hoping for the opportunity to create a second season. Let's hope they do another one, McGregor said. Can everyone write to Disney? Prior to his MegaCon appearance, McGregor also expressed a willingness to do a second season when speaking to Variety, but he noted there's no talk of it yet. Kathleen Kennedy, president of Lucasfilm, has been pretty adamant in the past that Obi-Wan Kenobi wouldn't be getting a second season. However, she left the opportunity open for the character to return in other forms. Speaking to Variety back in 2023, Kennedy said, "But I never say never because there's always the possibility. That show was so well received and Deborah Chow did such a spectacular job. Ewan McGregor really wants to do another. Everybody's all hand on deck with what we're doing right now. As you can see, what we showed everybody at Celebration, we'll turn our attention to that again, maybe down the road." In another previous interview from last year, Kennedy raised the idea of Kenobi appearing in another story, perhaps even a movie. While there appear to be no concrete plans regarding the character's future in the Star Wars universe, it seems clear now that we can close the page on the prospect of a second season of Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think there's a little bit of a spin in those comments by Kennedy. I think well received it was nominated for some awards and things too, but I don't think well received all the way around is accurate. When I was looking at when they did that announcement for Andor and Obi-Wan, I saw people really excited that they were getting Obi-Wan. I actually saw some people going, Andor. But I actually saw people saying, I'm going to get the Andor one, don't know about the Obi-Wan one. I think Obi-Wan is one of those series, at least for me, that gets worse when you watch it. There are some great moments to it, but I think that they completely dropped the ball. And as I mentioned before with other things, the writing is really bad in that show, like really bad. And I think that they kind of shot themselves in the foot for a second season because that excitement that was there for when you're like, oh, Obi-Wan, they're going to do a series, and it was just dropped the ball. But I love the idea. I love the idea of Ewan McGregor coming back for more Obi-Wan in other movies, in other shows, popping up in things. I think that's fantastic. Put him in a bunch of different things. Get him on a contract and put him in a bunch of stuff. But Steph, what do you think about all of this news?
I think that it sucks that Obi-Wan wasn't what everyone hoped it would be. There were episodes I did really love. I have to go back and see how I feel. It's funny that you've said that you've rewatched it and it got worse. That's my worry. But there was a lot that I loved in it. Obviously, it's like if you told me there was a second season, I would be excited and I would be happy for the entire team. And I would just be really hopeful that they changed it up and worked on some of the flaws. I would never be like, don't do it. Like, if you guys really believe in it.
Right.
Especially with Ewan McGregor being so wanting of this. I think that he deserves that in that sense if they really, really believe it. And I still love Deborah Chow. So I think there was just some flaws that were kind of killer in terms of really being excited for season 2. But yeah.
Yeah. What about the prospect of him coming back for other movies and shows, not in his own series?
I think that's great. I think that it depends. I would use it lightly because I think there's something really special about Obi-Wan. He's not an overused character.
Right.
In the same way, he's used more than Darth Maul, but I think there's something really special about both of those characters where everyone's like, oh my God, every time they show up on the screen because they're not overused.
Well, Mike, what about like a Disney Plus exclusive movie, one Clone Wars adventure with Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen back together and doing one standalone movie that's like a 2-hour movie exclusive for Disney Plus? I think people would lose their minds in something like that.
Well, when we found out we were getting an Obi-Wan show, we lost our minds and said it could be the greatest thing since Empire Strikes Back. I mean, to the point you guys are saying, like, I would love more Ewan, but I don't want to see anything after Revenge of the Sith to New Hope with him. I want Obi-Wan to be in that desert doing nothing. Like, having him off on adventures, using the Force, it's like, then how was he not found out? Like, how did they not find him? You're supposed to be in hiding. You know, Yoda's like, go and hide. Go in the desert.
Right.
Like, it just makes his return so much better. Like, but setting him in the Clone Wars, de-aging him a little bit, hell yeah. I think he's so good in the role. He's just one of those characters that we just, he embraces it, you know, and seeing the kind of passion back for Hayden again, like, get the two of them together. Like, I'm trying to think back to the Obi-Wan show. We never got a scene of the two of them together on an adventure, did we? They were
not an adventure. They were training. Yeah, they were training when they did that.
No, like, I remember back in the day, like Phantom Menace, there were some comics that were out showing them, like, I think it was Liam Neeson and him and adventures together, and it just was great, you know.
Yeah.
So do stuff like that, but leave that one time alone with him.
Yeah, I agree. All right, we'll ask you guys all the stuff we talked about Star Wars wise. Was anything that really stood out? And do you want to see Obi-Wan season 2? Did you like it? I know there's a lot of people. I see people in comments all the time saying, well, I don't feel the way you guys did. I liked the Obi-Wan series, and I'd love to see a season 2. And I've seen it many times over. I'm very aware that it's not universal. Everybody felt, you know, it didn't feel like Madam Web. You know, there were a lot of people who loved the series. I just think that there's more people who didn't as well. And painting the picture that it was so well received, I don't think is completely accurate. But I don't know. Let me know in the comments. And I think that it kind of couples off there. One of the main reasons, as they mentioned in the article, that Obi-Wan season 2 won't happen is because of Disney kind of scaling back, and especially some of the stuff that Bob Iger said. And here's exactly what he said. All right, Disney CEO Bob Iger discusses Marvel fatigue and quietly canceling several projects. Comic book movie. At a recent tech conference, Disney CEO Bob Iger revealed that he's quietly canceled several projects and stated that superhero fatigue was not the reason for Marvel's disappointing 2023 film slate. Mark Julian. Recently, Disney CEO Bob Iger was a keynote speaker at the Morgan Stanley Technology, Media, and Telecom Conference in San Francisco. The event took place, and Iger made several interesting comments regarding the company's film output and how Disney will right the ship after a somewhat down 2023 that saw the company's miss its usual box office benchmarks. fans of the MCU, and Star Wars took particular notice of Iger's statement that the company had decided to shelve projects that they believed weren't going to work out, even if pre-production expenses had already been incurred. You have to kill things you no longer believe in, and that's not easy in this business because you've gotten started, you've sunk some costs, or it's a relationship with either your employees or with the creative community. He continued, it's not an easy thing, but you've got to make those tough calls. We've actually made those tough calls. We've not been that public about it, but we've killed a few projects that just didn't feel strong enough. In the Marvel and Star Wars fandoms, this comment is receiving a lot of interest because several previously revealed projects have remained inactive for an extended amount of time and currently lack a release date. Have these projects been quietly killed or simply pushed further down the slate into Phase 6 or beyond? Now, on the Disney Plus side of Marvel, Ironheart, Wonder Man, Eyes of Wakanda, Marvel Zombies, and Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man all lack release dates, and there's been virtually no update on Vision Quest for quite some time. Likewise, a Nova project for Disney was announced back in 2022 and has puzzlingly received no updates. Regarding the MCU's film slate, production has not yet begun on Shang-Chi or Armor Wars, and neither project has a set release date. On the Star Wars side, Taika Waititi's untitled Star Wars movie and Sean Levy's untitled Star Wars movie both lack clear direction and release dates. And Star Wars films from Patty Jenkins and Kevin Feige fall into the quietly canceled department as well. Iger went on to add that he's been giving extra attention to the company's film division as he's been personally spending a lot of time with creators, watching the films, giving notes, engaging in respectful process that results in improvement. Iger's remark has some fans believing he is stepping on the toes of Kevin Feige and Filoni in an attempt to return to the days of Disney having billion-dollar box office hits. As Iger moved along in his speech, he rallied against the notion that superhero fatigue may be the cause of Marvel's dismal output. A lot of people think it's audience fatigue. It's not audience fatigue. They want great films. And if you build it great, they will come, and there are countless examples of that. Some are ours, and some are others. Oppenheimer is a perfect example of that. Just a fantastic film. He continues, focus is really important. We reduced the output of Marvel, both number of films they make and the number of TV shows, and that became critical. But I feel good about the team. I feel good about the IP we're making. I talked a lot about the projects. We look years ahead. Not only do you look at the films that you're making, you look at every part of the process, who the directors are, who's being cast, reading scripts. I personally watch films 3 to 5 times with the team and just create a culture of excellence and respect, which is really important with the creative community. And again, the track record speaks for itself. He went on to specifically point to Deadpool and Wolverine as a sign that things are turning a corner for Marvel, adding that the Ryan Reynolds-led pick will be one of the most successful Marvel movies that we've had in a long time. So a lot there. Steph, let me start with you. Out of all the stuff I just read there, what stands out the most?
Kind of this unknown of all the announced films, which is not usually like Marvel. I think that's kind of fascinating. But I actually respect that because I do think that there needed to be a pause in production on so many ends of the spectrum. I think on the viewership side, there was a little fatigue and also disinterest in the amount of shows coming out.
Yeah.
Also, that had played into the movies, making them almost unwatchable for certain viewers. And then even in-house, there was a lot of rumors, and also not even rumors, writers and FX artists coming out and being like, this is not working for us. So I think there was like a big mixture of they needed to kind of look within because they had so many years of just knocking it out of the park.
Yeah.
And now I kind of appreciate that step back. And then I think that it will end up paying well in the end for the movies that they do choose to go forward with. I'm not super attached to really seeing all of them. I think obviously I want to see a Shang-Chi second movie.
Yeah.
There's things like that where I'm like, you gotta do that. But I like the step back and figuring out what they want to do with it.
Yeah. Mike, how about you? Anything that stands out of that?
I'm gonna use a term that my good old friend Adam Gertley used to say. I'm reading the tea leaves here of everything that's been said recently. This is a big clean the house. Like I'm going to say this because Iger got some pushback for saying that he's going to focus on the core brands, and people took that as because Disney went so diverse that they're stepping back. I don't know if you guys remember when he was talking about that. He didn't say it in that terms, but he did, and thinking more like they're focusing on Spider-Man, Captain America, the big names like. So I'm going to say I think Shang-Chi is dead. I think Taika Waititi Star Wars is dead. I think Blade is dead.
Mm.
I think they keep Mahershala Ali and they put him in something else. But I think Blade, because look at all these projects that have been gestating for so long that like Shang-Chi, there's been no word on it. And that was one of the most well-received films.
It was.
But I think they're looking at, okay, we've got the Fantastic Four. That's our big, we're putting all our money in this. They're changing the Kang Dynasty because Majors is gone. They're pivoting towards Doom. Shang-Chi is not really fitting into this Avengers 5-ish thingy that's supposed to be going on. I think this is a paring back, which is necessary, but I think they might be getting rid of a lot of the wrong projects.
I think they're going to be getting rid of ones. I don't think they're going to get rid of Shang-Chi. I just think it's taken a long for that because one of the things that he said when he's talking about film, he also is going to look at the numbers there, and that movie made money, and they just haven't used them at all. And I think it's one of the reasons why is because they were focused on so many different freaking projects that like nobody was even asking for. Like if it was, I'll tell you, Agatha's lucky that it's already shot because that probably would have gotten pulled.
Yeah,
because
I think
Ironheart's gone. I think Wonder Man is gone.
I think She-Hulk is gone.
She-Hulk, they already said it's probably not going to be a season 2 to that because
did they?
Yeah, because Tatiana Maslany was on said, look, I think we overspent our budget and all this stuff too. Like, yeah,
now she should appear in the.
That's what they said.
MCU.
They said it should probably show up again, but Marvel Zombies is probably gone. I say that out of the Eyes of Wakanda still has a shot and being a show. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, I think that they still have footage of that. So I think I think those two will probably.
That's the animated show, right?
Yeah, and Vision Quest probably not going to happen either. But
that's gone.
Armor Wars, I would say, is probably gone. Shang-Chi 2, I think, is going to happen. The Taika movie, I think, is toast. I still think Sean Levy's movie will happen, especially after Deadpool 2.
Mangold is gone.
Nah.
Yeah, dude.
I think it's got an opportunity to fall apart, but I don't think
right now,
I think it's still available.
No, what they're focusing on right now is the Rey stuff and the Grogu and Mandalorian. Those two that they know they've got proven track records with people know these characters, and they're going to get those right. Like I think that's because he said he's focusing on the film stuff.
Focus on movies,
those two he's going.
You're right, but that's another reason why you got to have something in the wings because if you're getting rid of Taika's movie, Patty Jenkins' movie is gone, Feige's movie is gone, and then you're going to have 2 movies in 2026, and then you're either going to do nothing in 2027, which is fine, or you're going to have, but you still got to have 2028 right around the
I think
corner.
the Rey will be ready for a second one.
You think the Rey one will be the next one out?
I think that's, because it's...
Yeah? Or a Filoni movie. Yeah, right. Well, that's 2026. That's 2026.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. So there's no.
Yeah, you got 3. You got Filoni, Rey, and...
You got Filoni. You got Filoni's
Sabraw.
movie, which will probably be 2027.
Yeah.
And then 2028 will be either open or nothing. So... Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of Mangold really wants to do a movie, and they're really developing it, and it's coming along. But I've said this on a few different shows. I think that Star Wars, especially, is in a place that because I like the approach that that Disney's taking with Marvel. I would love to see Disney sell off Star Wars and someone sell Lucasfilm and then just re-gut Lucasfilm and get all new people in there and just get the property. It's never going to happen, but I think that's going to be the best. I think that's going to be the best fix for it.
It's funny when you to say that. I remember I said this many years ago. I said I love that Disney owns Star Wars. I hated that Disney owns Marvel. I think Marvel could have done just as well without Disney,
maybe
if they found their own home. I mean, granted, they wouldn't have theme parks, and maybe the Guardians of the Galaxy might not have been household names, but from just a film standpoint, they would have succeeded, I think. With Feige at the head of that, they didn't need Disney. Star Wars needed Disney.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that now Marvel just needs some cleanup. Star Wars needs a facelift. Marvel just needs a cleanup. And if they and I do agree with Iger about the Deadpool. I think Deadpool's going to be it's going to be a massive film for them. It's going to be huge. But they've got to ride the momentum of that. They can't just say, okay, now let's go back to exactly what we're doing. Here's 75 different shows and 47 movies that no one cares about. I think his approach is right. So when people are saying right now, well, he's stepping on Feige's toes. I mean, if you're running the shop and the guy's making movies and he's crushing it for you, like, I'm not getting involved.
Yeah.
But if things start going downhill, you have every right to say, I'm going to get involved right now and put it back on track. That's his job.
It was funny you were saying that, where he said he watches movies 3 or 4 times and gives notes. And for a second there, I'm like, man, it seems such a bad idea to have your head CEO in a creative side. But then I think back to his track record of what he did under his leadership and the success that Disney had with their animated slates, their live action slates. They were killing it. So the guy knows what he's doing. And I've heard the talk of him being a creative guy, and he gets the creative side and balances it with being a business guy. So
fingers crossed. I think that I do think that it's good that he's making the moves. I just hope that they're the right moves. And I think that this is something that needs to be done. And I also agree with his statements that it's not the superhero fatigue. It's a matter of mediocrity. We've been saying that for forever. And I think he's right. But we throw it to you guys. Do you feel the same way? Do you like Bob Iger's approach on this? Do you think that he is stepping on Feige's toes? Which projects do you think are going to go the way of the dodo? Let me know. Okay, before we move on to our final 2 stories, I want to tell you guys about RHONE and VESSIs. I love these VESSIs. These VESSIs are great. RHONE's pretty awesome too. I'll tell you about both of them right now. Here we go. All right, I love getting you guys good deals, and I got it. RHONE. There's so much pain in trying to find what to wear. Whether it's uncomfortable, it's tight, it's never your size, there's difficulty putting pieces together when all the fabrics are different textures. I know it happens to me all the time. You want to look good without having to think about it. Well, that's where RHONE comes in. They stepped up to the challenge, everybody. They got the commuter collection. It's comfortable, it's breathable, and it's a versatile set of products known to man. They have products for every occasion, whether it's the most comfortable pants, dress shirts, quarter zips, polos, blazers. They look great as individual pieces, and they work seamlessly together. RHONE's signature 4-way stretch fabric, it's breathable, it's flexible, and it works everywhere from your commute to work to the 19th hole. It's time for unparalleled confidence without all the hassle. RHONE's commuter collection features wrinkle release technology, and it is 100% machine washable, looking good. Is that easy? I'm telling you, I love this. They sent me some of this stuff, guys, and first of all, they have the kind of just relaxing casual stuff, but I needed a good pair of pants to go with my suit, and my goodness, I got some for me. I got some for Riley. We're looking slick. It is so great. The commuter collection is easy to care for also, by the way, and it stays fresh and it's odor free. Just head over to RHONE.com/BigThing. Use that promo code BigThing. Save 20% off your entire order. That's 20% off your entire order when you head to RHONE.com/BigThing. Use that code BigThing. It's time to find your corner office comfort. VESSI. So, John, I got these new shoes, and they have it's like rainwear. It's really, it's incredible. They sent it to me a while ago, but I'm so excited to tell them about them. For us, I want to tell you that VESSI has this innovative, it's like footwear, and it's designed for spring weather. It's great. So Stormburst VESSIs are the ones that I really want to kind of emphasize, and they're your go-to for every setting, city streets to outdoor adventures, enhancing your style and activity with ease. So you can, whether it's snowy trails, wet streets, morning dew walk. So whether you're facing unexpected snow or slippery paths, it's so crucial in general to have these. I'm planning a move. I've talked about this, but it's been raining a lot in LA. And I've been wearing my VESSIs everywhere. And you guys seen it. I've been wearing the one hoodie that I have that they sent me. I love it. It's one of my favorite things. I love these hoodies. I've worn it on in so many different videos. They have all weather, all occasion footwear from beach days to snowy commutes. They have so many different things. You should elevate your spring wardrobe when you travel with VESSI Stormburst shoes. You can discover more at VESSI.com/BigThing. Get your pair today and get an automatic 15% off your first purchase at checkout. And be ready to step out into style. It is great stuff. I love VESSI. I really, really enjoy VESSI. All right, thank you to our friends over at RHONE and VESSI. Love having clothing people on here, man. I love having sneaker people on. The sneakers, they're so easy to slip right on, and you wear them in the rain. It's waterproof. They're fantastic. Love them. So links are in the description. Pin comment, as always. If you want to help out the show and get yourself something wonderful, that's what you do. Okay, so let's move on. Madame Web. Dakota Johnson is still in the news about Madame Web. That's right. So this week, what did she say? This is Dark Horizons, Garth Franklin. Madame Web was ripped to shreds, says Dakota Johnson. Sony Pictures universe of Marvel characters. The title of Madame Web came and went last month like an unpleasant odor. Ouch. The film has been both a major critical and commercial failure, and its star, Dakota Johnson, tells Bustle she has zero plans to return to the superhero space anytime soon. Johnson says, I probably will never do anything like it again because I don't make sense in that world, and I know that now. Johnson has previously been fairly candid in her thoughts about making the movie, calling blue screen filming an absolutely psychotic experience, but making it clear she had faith in her director, S.J. Clarkson. However, now that it's out, she's not afraid to discuss the issues with the overall project, most of which seems to come down to studio interference. Sometimes in this industry, you sign on to something and it's one thing, and then as you're making it, it becomes a completely different thing. And you're like, wait, what? It's a real learning experience. Of course, it's not nice to be part of something that's ripped to shreds, but I can't say that I don't understand. There's certainly been no shortage of films in the genre that have been torn apart by committee. Johnson adds that she thinks the pushback against such films will only increase. She said, films are made by a filmmaker and a team of artists around them. You cannot make art based on numbers and algorithms. My feelings has been for a long time that audiences are extremely smart, and executives have started to believe that they're not. Audiences will always be able to sniff out bullshit. Even if films start to be made with AI, humans aren't going to effing want to see those. Madame Web opened in cinemas on the 14th, and it only grossed $91 million worldwide. Okay. So these are candid thoughts, and I'll tell you, it seems like everybody in the cast is now kicking that movie in the nuts because did you see Sydney Sweeney on Saturday Night Live?
Yeah.
And she took a dump on it too. And she said, like, if you see me in this, you've seen me. Of course, she's like, you've seen me in this. She's like, but you definitely didn't see me in Madame Web. And it's like, it seems to me that they're not going after the director, that they're all kind of going after Sony.
The same ship.
Yeah, they're all going after Sony for this. And I think that there's got to be some merit behind it. It seems like, look, sometimes we've talked about it. Sometimes you can't just blame this and say, oh, there's studio interference. And that's why, because Coy says it all the time. Well, Coy will be like, well, the studio probably got their hands in it and did this. I'm like, it doesn't happen all the time. It happens. And it clearly says when you have the star of the film going, that's not the movie I was doing. I'll tell you that right now. They came in here and they got involved in it. And I loved her story about, or her comment about, that it shouldn't be based on algorithms. And I remember being back at Warner Brothers during the Silver years in there, and the way that executives would make decisions on, well, this article came out and audience responded to this person and this was said. It's like, make a movie, make a good story. And so I feel her. Mike, what do you feel? What do you say?
So I finally saw this movie this weekend, and I wanted to see Dune 2, but I hadn't seen one yet. So it's
a good choice.
But I was craving movie popcorn. That's the whole reason we went.
Yeah.
I gotta say, it was in the smallest theater at AMC. It was almost packed.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah. We walked in and like, holy crap.
Wow.
And no one was even vocal until about halfway through the movie, and then the laughs started.
Yeah.
But not in a good way.
Yeah.
The movie gets done, and I'm like, well, you saw a good movie in there somewhere.
Yeah.
There is a movie in there where they probably started filming like the stuff with, but then they get to the whole thing, like, we're naming the baby. Let's guess.
Right.
And they don't say Peter. And then he's like, I met someone. She goes, oh, he's special. They don't say May. Like those little things that would have connected. And then because I was explaining to my girlfriend, I had no idea that Garfield was supposed to be in this. Right. It was supposed to be set in the 90s. The guy, the poor bad guy. Like, I don't know if they ADR'd every one of his roles and he's a good actor because he's like French. And he's doing a bunch of French movies. Or if he's just off the street and I'm like, how am I not working in these movies?
Right.
That poor guy got everyone else, the three girls, they didn't get too bad. But him, that poor bastard, holy shit.
I only thought the only one I thought was good was her name. I always mess up her name. Was Isabella Merced?
Yeah.
She's the only one I thought was good.
End in that wheelchair with the glasses, I'm like, when did she get in a wheelchair? Just by falling in the water? Like, and why are her eyes? You can't see now. What the fuck happened?
Yeah, the movie is a disaster. But Steph, did you ever see this thing?
No, I didn't. But I'm curious because I got to just because of how bad it is. It's not like the Marvels, right? Because I liked the Marvels.
No.
I mean, no, it's not. Like, look, I felt similar to what Mike said about the Marvels, though. Is I remember I saw the Marvels with Frank, and I said, "There's a good movie in here
There's a
somewhere."
story in there.
Yeah, it just that movie lost me. Like even in the beginning, I'm like, it's not that bad. And then when he's singing and dancing and cats everywhere, it was the end for me. But some people, if you don't mind,
I can get with that. But what I'm hearing about Madam Web is like, it's just what the heck, dude.
Yeah. It's just bad. I mean, I've mentioned the subway. The subway scene, which is the stupidest thing ever. The villain is chasing the girls in the subway. He's got them dead to rights. And what does he do? He goes after the cops. Fuck are you doing? They're right there.
Oh my god!
What are you doing? It's terrible.
Crazy because the cast I like all of the main cast, but that doesn't really mean anything.
It doesn't mean
anything.
Movie. Yeah, of course. But I liked how candid that she was. You know, she was trying to do her best promoting this thing, and she could only do what she was obligated to do, was go out there. But because she's done a 180, because she talked about how she wanted to do a sequel when the movie was coming out. And if it would have done well, she probably would have done a sequel. But the fact that now she's attached to this stinker, she wasn't bad at all, though. By the way,
who?
Dakota Johnson. She was fine. You think she was bad?
I like the choices they made. She's a paramedic, but doesn't want to help.
But that has nothing to do with her. I'm talking about her performance.
She felt like, and again, I don't know if there were reshoots with her, but I felt she didn't want to be there.
I heard that Sydney Sweeney's character felt the most miscast.
I've totally miscast. She's the geeky loser that no one wants to be around.
Yeah, they did everything they could.
That's like a classic '90s trope where they're like, "Oh my god, she put her hair down and she's hot."
Right.
But in her defense, she's acting the shit out of the role.
Yeah.
Like the geeky girl.
You're being nice.
Oh,
you're being nice.
Then you see her on the red carpet for Madam Web, and you're like, okay, what's going on here?
You see it Saturday Night Live. You're like, that's not the same person. But anyway. So I don't think it's fair for Dakota Johnson also to say that she doesn't fit into this world. I don't think anybody could fit into that world. No. It was.
Yeah, I don't think that's
like,
fair
either.
Actor,
she's like, this ain't for me. Hanging up on wires with not knowing what
that I get. That I get. Someone asked me, by the way, like, well, what's a good performance by Dakota Johnson? She doesn't have any. I said, you ever see the Peanut Butter Falcon? She was great in that.
Yeah.
Really good in that. It's a great movie, by the way.
That's
underrated. What's that?
I like the first 50 Shades of Grey.
I'm sure you did.
Hey, well,
Anyway. All right. Let's get to our last story here, and we're going to get the hell out of here.
Hurry up. Yeah, I get.
Watch your mouth. Your breath stinks. All right, well, I'm going to talk about Sofia Boutella, who I like a lot. Oh. Talk about performances in a thing that wasn't critically received well. That's Sofia Boutella in Rebel Moon. Well, Sofia Boutella admits that the negative Rebel Moon Child of Fire reviews really affected her. Rebel Moon Part 1, Child of Fire, Zack Snyder's ambitious follow-up to Justice League, received decidedly negative reviews from critics, with most saying it was an empty Star Wars knockoff. Mark Julian. Rebel Moon, A Child of Fire, the first part of a two-part film, directed by Zack Snyder, had an incredible amount of buzz before it was released on Netflix. In turn, the streamer gave the pick a pretty substantial marketing push. On paper, it seems that the decision worked, as the movie was a statistical success, gaining 23.9 million views in the first 3 days of its release, making it the 9th best Netflix film of 2023, which is a big accomplishment considering it was released near the end of the year. But critics were less than kind, with The Child of Fire getting a 21% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Review scores averaged from 3.2 out of 5. As the lead character actress, Sofia Boutella, she spoke up on how the number of reviews affected her. She said, I always thought that I was fully armed to take on those punches, and then I read the critics that came down on Rebel Moon, and it affected me. And I'm just going to be honest. I feel like I'm carrying it for everybody that cared so much about this project, and that's what affected me. Not the way I look. If anything, I've been pretty lucky, and people like my work in it, but the movie was criticized, and it affected me for all those who put so much heart, tears, and sweat in the project. It's hard to see something being demolished to that extent. I'm proud to have been part of it, and if there's no more Rebel Moon, it'll be a very important part of my life that I will defend forever. But didn't they already shoot part 2?
Yeah, it's coming out this summer.
It's coming out this summer. So, yeah, I mean, it may be past this. I think that this... Mike, I don't think I've talked to you about this movie. Did you watch Rebel Moon?
Well, I was going to watch it because
Yeah.
I was excited for Zack Snyder, but then they said, yeah, this is not the full film. We're doing a director's cut that's going to come up right
Rated R.
before part 2. So I'm like, no, I'm going to wait and watch the whole thing.
Yeah. Steph,
So
did you
I'm
watch
waiting
this
for
one?
a director's cut.
Yeah, Sophia, hi, it's me. I loved it. I love this movie. There are people who love it. I really liked it. I don't think it's perfect, but I thought there was a lot of cool parts about this movie.
I definitely think there were cool parts in it. This is another thing that the story itself, everything's Star Wars is a knockoff of Dune. Star Wars is a knockoff of tons of stuff. So who cares about the knockoff stuff? That I'm not going to pay attention to. What I will say is that I think that Zack Snyder got in his own way in this version of it. There's a really cool scene, and there's some pretty terrifying stuff going on with some of the oppressors, and Ed Skrein plays a really vicious villain, and they're doing this battle, and right in the middle of the battle,
Oh, the slow-mo?
stop. Like every 5 seconds is slow motion, and it's like, you don't need it. You don't need this right now. You're telling a story, and I'm into the story. I never even finished the movie. I have to finish it, and I think that I'm more so where Mike is now, and I'm like, all right, let me just wait for the rated R version. I think it was a big mistake for them to release that before. They should have put the rated R version for it. If that's your version, if that's your movie, put that out first. Then put a PG version. You're like, oh, well, kids can't watch this one. Then because Netflix got what they wanted and they got a lot of views out of it. But if the rated R version is better, well, then you've put this on Sofia Boutella and everybody else where maybe you had a better version with the R. Maybe it's not different at all. Who knows?
I'm just torn. Like, I don't get the Netflix thinking behind this, because they were all on board. The guys come out saying, I'm in the Zack Snyder business. I love what he does. But he has a history of Justice League and or BVS, and then the director's cut of the ultimate version of that, and then Justice League and this and that. Like so why announce it or make it clear we are going to release what Zach, we had to do, this is what we wanted so that all audiences could enjoy this. If you want a little bit more mature, this is going to be coming eventually.
Yeah.
But don't make it sound like this is his film. We're going to release this big one in the summer.
I think it was a big mistake to do that, because it's. But as far as, I don't think Sofia Boutella should be. You know what it probably was? It was the fact that it was getting so much hype behind it. And she was like, oh, this is going to be like my Star Wars. I'm going to be in a big time. I'm the lead of this thing. I'm a lead of the Zack Snyder film. And then it's like people are shitting all over it. She's probably like, damn it. Of course it's going to bum you out. It'll bum everybody out.
Right.
So anyway, and then I did forget, speaking because of how this is compared to Dune. All right, I got to bring this one up before we get out of here, and that's that Legendary is keen on a third Dune. Denis Villeneuve has been teasing it and already has seemingly done a bunch of work on the script, but now the producers of the Dune films are ready to back him up. Speaking to CNBC, Legendary Entertainment, Josh Grode was asked this week about the talk of a third Dune adapting Frank Herbert's Dune Messiah, a much slimmer book than its predecessor. Messiah takes place over a decade after the events of the first book and sees characters like Arulin, who was played by Florence Pugh, and Aaliyah Atreides and Nutella Joy become major players alongside Paul, Shani, and a returnee from the first film that we won't spoil. Grode indicates that once Villeneuve's ready to go, the production company is ready to get moving. Asked about a potential third one, he says, we have to have all creative stakeholders aligned and support the vision. I think everybody's excited and really enjoying this moment. And if Denis gets the script right and he feels he can deliver another experience on par with what we've completed, then I don't see why not. Dune Part 2 has already soared at the high box office mark, pulling in 81.5 and 178.5 million right now. Actually, updated, it just crossed 100. So, Steph, you finally saw Dune Part 2. What were your thoughts?
Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
Is it one of your favorites?
Oh yeah, for sure. I felt the same way as you in terms of I want to see it again. Like, we almost went back Sunday, and I I'm going to go this weekend. It is so good. I wish there was a theater doing a back-to-back screening of Dune 1
Yeah.
and 2
Yeah.
so
Did
I
you
could
see it in
just roll
IMAX?
through it. Yeah, but did you hear about I just found out about Limax.
Oh yeah. Where did you see it?
Well, all of them are Limaxes except for the Universal.
Burbank and Universal are real.
So I didn't see real IMAX.
Yeah, that's I went and saw one. The one I saw was also
real IMAX.
No.
Okay.
Well, the first Dune I saw at Burbank, and that was real IMAX. But Mike, are you getting a little bit more hyped up now, or I mean, because everybody,
I'm very hyped up for it, but I'm trying to stay away from it.
Yeah,
you know, I'm excited because I'm going to watch the first one, and then I've got the 70mm IMAX here at City Walk.
Yeah,
my great seat. There's only 2 seats in the IMAX theater that I love, and the first one that I could get them was like I got them, but it's like in a week and a half from now.
Okay,
on a Tuesday at 10.
Well, then that also leads. By the time you get there, maybe they'll announce that Dune3 is indeed coming out, and they've been talking about it, teasing, and I think that, of course, they're talking about it now because the hype on it. It's crossed 100 million. It's super successful. It's critically beloved. It's getting. I mean, you don't get events like this for movies very rarely. And when they happen, you got to jump on it. And I think that Denis will probably jump on it too because this is his movie. Right? This is his thing. I do not want to see the Dune series. The Dune series, yeah, okay, I'll watch it. It's not Denis not directing stuff, but that's okay. I want to watch. I want to watch that world. But a movie right now, if Denis ain't directing it, I don't want to see it because I think he's as much the reason why it's as engaging than anything, and the way he wrote it, the way everything about it. So Denis to me is he's next level because of this movie.
It's so good.
Yeah. What do you think about Messiah though, Steph? Is that something that's a no-brainer at this point?
Oh yeah, it's a no-brainer. Like I totally get what you meant because I asked you, is it setting up for more? That it's a great ending, and I could be fine with that. They told an incredible story, but to me, as now I've been reading the book since the first one came out. It's like the ending is such a great way to be like, of course I want to see what happens.
Are you going to read Messiah?
Are you kidding me?
Are you going to read Messiah? You are? See, I'm staying away from it. I don't want to know anything.
I might stay away from it because I really enjoyed my ability to view the first ones without the book.
Yeah.
And now the book, just like I did with Harry Potter, the book I reread them and it just provides more color to the movies in a way that I appreciate. But yeah, I agree with you on the Denis. I feel like he's now made himself clearly one of the best ever.
I want to see Denis and Hans Zimmer return and
everything.
Yeah, and Greg Fraser. Right, those three. I want the cinematographer. I want to see all three of them return, and then I'm good.
And the costume designer too. I just got to give props to.
True.
I mean, those costumes look so lived in and incredible.
Yeah. All right, guys. What do you think? Dune Messiah. Is it going to happen? Should it happen? Have you seen the second movie, and what'd you think? Put your comments in there about everything that we've discussed on the show today. I'd like to thank both Mike and Steph for joining me today. First, starting with Steph. Steph, where can they find you?
At Steph Sabraw and the World Girls.
Michael Kalinowski, what about you?
Same thing, at Mike Kalinowski.
At the World Girls?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, why not?
Cool.
Yep.
All right, and as I said before, if you're able to and you want to support, I got a DM this morning. Said, hey, want to support the show? What's that code for this? And I gave them the code, and they got themselves a sponsor, and that helps you out, and that helps us out. So if you want to do it, go to the link in the description, always pinned up top. Subscribe to the channel. Help us get to 200,000. Thanks for joining us here today. For Mike and Steph, I'm me. You're you. We'll see you later.